things that are good and bad, even in fantasy. And we may look at it, but that's because we're looking at it from a different perspective, right? So that's why we turn to those things. How can we, as individuals who are just not in a very good state of mind, and we are turning to these things, to these fantasies, how can we bring some of that to our life, to allow us to still be on that this is reality level, but we can give it a little bit of fluff to love our lives?
Well, there are various ways you can do it. One of the main ways I orient my, hey, we have a tell.
Hi.
Hello.
So this is the part in our journey where we get a new member, right?
Hey, we just added to
picked
the
up
party.
another traveler. We went to a tavern. We picked him up because he was looking for a quest.
He was having a long rest.
So we were just asking Dee how we can bring some of that fantasy into our lives and still keep it, keep our lives real, but kind of give it a little bit of our own fantasy.
Well, I have two main ways that I advocate for that. One the easiest way to do it is to take a character that you identify with, in general, or maybe really specifically. Maybe there's a character that you're like looking at the screen, or you're looking at the paper or in the book or whatever, and you're like, that's me. Yeah. And you are sitting there and you're thinking, that's me on the page right there or on the screen. And one way to bring that fantasy into your life is, if you're faced with a difficult situation or just something that really is an inconvenience or something, is asking yourself, how would X character handle this? What kind of reaction would the character have? Because if you like that character, there's a reason you like that character. And as long as it's a positive role model character, I will say that. Some people like the negative role models, but but even at the same time, there are negative role models that you can go, okay, no, that is not the way you react to a situation.
Exactly.
Right.
Your brain goes, no, that's, your brain still knows the right and wrong.
Yeah.
But how would X react to this situation, take on this situation, take on this goal or whatever, and incorporate how you see that character, and how they would react to something, into your decision making process. It's like, because from a third party view, we can know these characters really well.
Right.
And we can know their thought processes because it's explained to us a lot of
Right.
the time. So, and that sort of thing. The other thing is, that I absolutely love, but I need to step off camera for a minute, if that's okay.
Yeah, go right ahead. Go right ahead.
And we'll let Tell bring us up to date on what he's been doing.
What you're doing. Absolutely.
That's so cool.
So why were you late? Tell, we want to know. Why did you sleep in? I tried to get the innkeeper to wake you up, and he kept knocking on the door. And you, for some reason, you were not waking up.
The wrong potion.
I think the fairies got to him. I really do.
Time traveling. It was time traveling. When the realm.
We're bringing time travel into this now.
And daylight saving was cancelled in our realm.
Wonderful.
So, Tell, have you, bringing you up to speed with what we've been discussing here, as far as whimsy and, fantasy, Dee had a question at the beginning of the show and wanted to know what our ideal fantasy or whimsy theme was. For instance, Nova had mentioned that she loved fairies, but more of the trickster type fairies. And I talked about cottagecore and how I loved, both aspects of that. And we kind of intertwined that with yin yang. What about you? What are your type of fantasy?
He's like, Animal Crossing.
Not this time around. I think with the fairy tale themes and in general, I enjoy looking at characters that are musically inclined. So even with things like it kind of has a bit of a medieval type of feel to it. Often, if you think even of like Peter Pan and Tinkerbell type of thing, but like stringed instruments when these characters play harp or like a lute or something like that, even that to a certain degree, I'm thinking of the game League of Legends, where the one character, and now I can't think of her name, Sona. She also plays also like a fairy like type of instrument. It's also like a stringed instrument, and it's amazing. I enjoy that aspect to it because it has the elvish type of thing, with the bowed instruments, or even just like a bow and arrow type of thing. So something about that really appeals to me in a fairy type of character.
I love that. And that, again, Dee, we were talking about how we bring a lot of ourselves and our interests
just about to
into
say
our fantasy.
Yeah.
And that just represents him so much.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, do you feel that might be one of those things that we're like bringing reality or bringing fantasy to our reality?
If we can
Both. Because your fantasy is influenced by your reality.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
let it do so in a positive manner, then your reality can be influenced by your fantasy. And so with Tell being drawn towards the musically inclined characters and situations, it's not surprising. Nobody is surprised to hear this.
Right.
Nova would probably be very drawn to the mischievous artistic, like if you had a graffiti artist elf.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds right up my alley.
Yeah. I'm just sitting there going, yeah, that's what I see Nova,
Right.
And, Kat, you're sitting there with your mushroom hat and your mushroom witch's hat, and your cup of tea, and maybe you're reading the tea leaves after you've gotten done sipping.
Oh my God, she
like that.
Yes.
love it. Yeah.
She's assigning us fantasy.
Ooh, we are going to have to role play these out soon.
But I'm bringing my own influences into those assignments. So, your take on things could be very different. And that's the fun of fantasy.
For sure.
Is it's individualized.
Right.
So I was going to go back to real quick. I don't have the second book that I wanted to show you.
Okay.
But the first book I have, the other way I like bringing fantasy into daily life is by adopting, it's almost like gamification. But instead of gamification, it's fantasization.
Okay.
So, but this is one of my favorite books. It's called Feral Self-Care. And it's 100 ways to liberate and celebrate your messy, wild, and untamed self. And it is, Dance in the Rain.
I like that.
Nobody said you had to have clothes on if you want to.
Okay, I'm going to admit this on air, and I will tell you, I have danced naked in the rain. That
Wow.
it is a very therapeutic thing. I'm serious. It is amazing. And at first, I went to the point where I was like, "This is so weird. I should not be doing this." But why? Why should we not be doing that? I mean, we have nudist colonies here in Florida. Why is it? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there is no restriction. I'm not hurting anybody.
I mean, if you're in your own backyard and nobody's there to witness it, who cares?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
So I
but
like
things like dance in the rain, do primal screams into your pillow, you know, just
Yeah, I've chased trains screaming my head off, so I get that one.
Nova
one
worshipped,
of
the Mothman. I mean, she was down there going,
So we're still remembering that one, it seems.
How encompassing is your all-seeing sight? The other thing that one of my favorites is called Take an Ugly Day.
Okay.
And it's basically you don't put your makeup on, you don't put your perfume on, you don't take a shower, you dress in your slob clothes, and you just kind of go feral for the day, you know, and you just sit there.
I would be feral without my makeup. Yes.
You know, and you know, but my other book that I don't have here at the office because I've been reading it at home is called Goblin Mode.
Ooh.
And it's basically Goblin Mode self-care. And it's basically about giving 0 fucks.
Yep. Yes. Oh my gosh. Where can I get this?
Goblin Mode. Let me see. I was gonna say it is available through various booksellers. And but let me I'll send you the link to it later, Kat.
Please, we'll put that up on our on Discord.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, but feral self-care is bringing goblin core and goblin mode into daily life, and just bringing that little bit of fantasy and whimsy and 0 given.
You can say it. We're okay.
It's about getting to the point where you can let go enough to actually say, today I give 0 fucks about how I look.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And there is a liberation and a freedom in being able to say, fuck it.
That's right. There really is. And, you know, I've done that where I've actually had no makeup, did not do my hair. And one of the best things about this is I actually posted it on a social media. And that for me was a big step because I was in that moment of, we all have this fantasy of what somebody is on the other side of the computer, right?
Yeah.
We always think, oh, they look so beautiful, they've got their lives all together. And I really wanted to say, if I can do this, it means I'm happy with myself. That I am okay with showing who the real me is without me feeling judged by other people. And so when I did this, I said, this is a big step for me. And it was one of those moments where I went, you know what? I feel like a big weight is off my shoulders because I don't care. I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like that, this is who I am. Take me as I am. And I love that, Dee. I absolutely love it. Anybody else do that?
I found it.
So, Robert, have you gone on camera with no makeup?
I do that often.
Okay,
I think
they have to prepare me. They have to prepare me.
He was putting his makeup on.
He's like a K-pop star. He's like a K-pop idol. He's got to get prepared.
Yeah, I think it's similar to like not brushing your hair or not shaving and things like that. So I often go with a lazy beard type of situation, and it is liberating. It definitely is. And, but I mean, you all have natural beauty. You really can go without makeup, to be honest. So it's, you know, I'm trying to think. It's it's kind of like a little bit of polish if you have to put a bit of makeup or shave or something. But the three of you are beautiful, so you need to embrace it.
You know,
I feel like
somebody else. Oh, I'm sorry. No,
I was
go
just gonna
ahead.
say, I feel like a lot of it too is not even just like things like makeup or whatever, but like Tal said about polish, it's also just feeling like you have to put up a front, feeling like you have
Okay.
to, alter yourself a bit to be a bit more digestible. I've come on our shows a few times, all dressed up and decked out and stuff, but I feel like on certain occasions where it's just I'm not up to it, I will allow myself to step back and kind of like tone it down a little bit. Like this right now is me toned down. Like this is not me
It's so
dressed up,
beautiful.
decked out or anything. Like I don't have any makeup on. I don't usually either, but like that's kind of like my whole point is that like it's not even just specifically about that, but it's about feeling like you have to perform and feeling like you have to wear this facade or like a mask. And when I kind of like stopped forcing myself to like mask, I guess, or like perform in that kind of role, it definitely is a lot more liberating and freeing.
I must admit, I've also had the other experience where you try everything. It's like I'm trying to fix my hair, I'm trying to do this or whatever, and nothing
even just your
seems to work.
camera.
It's maybe it's just the maybe it is the camera.
You know who
But I'm
I
just kidding.
feel
Yeah.
one of the streamers, a real popular streamer, and you probably heard of this person, Jeffree Star. Okay, I'm going to bring Jeffree Star's name into this. I know there some people are fans, some people are not. But I love his demeanor, okay? Because he says this all the time. He's like, I'm happy with who I am. All right. Beautiful, puts all the I mean, just absolutely I mean, yes, whew, I love the look. Okay. And that's how you should be. If you want to put makeup on, if you want to have your hair, long, if you want to dye it, if you don't want to do, that's fine. As long as you're comfortable with it, that's how it should be, right?
Right.
So if you
Embracing who you are.
embracing who you are or who your inner self. And
Hey, it's almost like that's my message.
yes, absolutely. And I think that's a really really good kind of focus is to say it doesn't matter if you want to put makeup on or if you don't, or if you want to cosplay or if you don't want to cosplay. If you want to walk around all day in a Gandalf outfit, as long as your employer's okay. I
Dress
mean, do
for the
it.
job you want.
Yes,
Yeah.
do the job you want. Then do it. I mean, I think it's amazing. I think I used to wear cat ears all the time. And that was my brand, but it wasn't just my brand, it was about me. That was
Right.
my look. And so everybody used to say, it's not Halloween. Why are you,
Oh my
well, what
gosh,
is with
yeah.
the ears?
We
I
used to
mean,
get those comments all the
every
time.
time, constantly, like, why are you always wearing
Is it
your ears?
Halloween? Why are you
Is it
dressed
just
up?
something dressed up? Are you
I'm
going
just
to a
like
costume?
this.
No, that's just who I am. I just
Mhm.
I can wear, deer ears. I can wear rabbit ears. If that's what I want to do all day, that's me, right?
Yeah.
And that's
Right.
bringing my fantasy into reality, and it makes me feel good that I can walk around and feel more confident. And if that does it for you, I think that's a great thing. So, are we wrong, Dee? What is your perspective?
I really think that using fantasy as a way to help you embrace yourself is an amazing take.
Right.
You know, am I going to go out in my, because I have errands that I have to run, am I going to wear my antlers after I'm running my air or during my errands? Probably not, mostly because they'll get in the way of getting in the car. But that's a practicality thing.
Mhm.
I have gone around with cosplay, closet cosplays or anything like that. And it's all about just embracing who I am that day. And
Yeah,
it will change.
exactly.
That's the other thing to remember when it comes to these sorts of things is who you are is going to change, and who you're comfortable being each day is going to be different.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
we're not characters in a TV show that wear the same clothes every single episode,
Yep.
and we're not the same person. I will not be the same person this afternoon that I
Right.
am right now,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
because I will have gone through other things. I will have done other stuff that will have formed opinions or,
Yep.
perspectives and things like that. So the thing about using fantasy is, like I said, you want to make sure that you keep in perspective that this is a distraction,
Mhm.
or this is a tool. I mean, if you want to use it as a tool to help you get through your day, gamify your day with, this is my adventure for the day,
Mhm.
and
Right.
this is my adventure. These are my goals. These are my, this is my quest for the day.
Right.
Go ahead, have a blast doing that, and it works for a lot of people.
Right.
And so I think honestly that using fantasy as a tool in your daily life to give you a little bit of whimsy, a little bit of adventure, you know, um, instead of going like I've seen the meme, I'm sure you have too, is instead of going to the drugstore, I'm going to the apothecary today.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. And speaking of what we do to bring that fantasy to reality, I'm going to show you a picture here of something that I did. And remember, I told you earlier in the show that I'm into the cottage core. I love the cottage core. I decorate my house up. I try to get as much as possible of nature inside my house, because if I go outside my house and I try to be one with nature, I'm probably going to trip over and hurt myself or get ate by an alligator because I'm so clumsy, right? So I try to bring nature into my house. And so I'm going to show you something that I did here. This is the front of my house. And I added a little cottage core type look and a sign. And that sign, I don't know if you can really see it that well, but let's try to scroll in here just a little bit, right? And that sign really is a sign that tells you different fantasy places like Narnia or Rivendell or Camelot or anything like that. And I love adding these to my home because it gives me that feeling. When I get out of my car, I drive. Now, here in Florida, everything likes to be the same. They love to cookie cut everything. Seriously. So they try to fit everybody into one little spot as much as possible. So all the homes usually look the same. But my house looks totally different than anybody's on the whole block, because I want to bring parts of my life, my fantasy, to the neighborhood. And it more is a cottage core look. This is the inside of the hallway. As you can see, I love adding nature. I even added a little fairy door for my cat right at the bottom to go, for
Right.
her in her little area to use her litter box. And my swords, my fantasy swords are up there. I bring nature to my house and fantasy, and I do it throughout because when someone comes home from work, I want them to feel that they are no longer at work, that they are at their home and they feel safe and just, again, even if it feels like a fantasy, that's how I really want to focus on on my bringing that fantasy to my life. And I think everybody should do that, even if it's a small little closet that you want to just go and get away from. Put a little chair in there with a blanket and a little
I've done that
light overhead. Yeah, and just decorate it for
multiple
you.
times.
That's what space you have. Absolutely. So Dee, any last to wrap us up for this episode?
Don't be afraid of fantasy. and don't be afraid of whimsy, and don't be afraid of being unserious, you
Yes.
know, because there's so much seriousness and so much chaos and so much that we can't control. One
Right.
thing you can control is just how seriously you take yourself. And I think that, implementing fantasy and fantasy approaches to life is going to really help mitigate that pressure that we all feel.
Absolutely. So before we head out, is there anything going on, any workshops or anything anybody's holding, or websites that our audience should be aware of, any resources? The ones that you mentioned, Dee, we'll go ahead and put that on Discord. So please, again, go to our LinkedIn /Brain Hacks, and then you can get all the links to Discord or social media, and we'll put those resources that Dee had mentioned earlier on there for you to be able to purchase for yourself. I do have a clip of a whimsy fantasy type game. I think everyone should really at least take some time to at least play. You don't if you don't like it, you don't have to continue it, but it is you can try it for free on Steam, and this is called Tiny Glade, and it's a little cottage building type game that you can really just take your time and build your own fantasy cottage. So let's take a look at this. It's very cute, very cozy, and very self-caring because you take the time to just build. I love it, and I love the design of it as well. So hopefully you guys can head on over to Steam and check that out. Again, it's called Tiny Glade. Thank you for joining us, and the hour goes by so fast.
Oh yeah.
But unfortunately, we do have to end today. We will be back again next month for Robert and Nova's birthday. We will be celebrating their birthdays. Maybe we will have maybe I'll even do I'll make my own self a cake, and then I'll just celebrate by eating my own cake. Sorry, guys. I got to celebrate your birthday somehow. But we will have the topic ready for you for next month. And then sometime during this year, I know we're going to have Robert coming over from South Africa, even to visit us. And we'll all do a live stream together. That would be very fun. We can actually have our coffee and maybe our little biscuits and cosplay together. That would be really fun.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, guys, check us out, Linktree /Brain Hacks, and our Discord will be on there. Hopefully you can join us and get those links that Dee had mentioned earlier. Great resources. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and thank you, Dee, so much for leading this conversation.
Oh yeah, it was my pleasure. Absolutely.
Nobody else I think would trust to take that conversation but you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Brain